is Rosie Port, and I make mixed media watercolor paintings. I've been very creative my entire life. I grew up in a very creative space around my parents, one being a landscape designer and the other being an architect. I had used watercolor a bit over the course of many years, and in 2022 was struggling with my mental health a lot, and painting using watercolor became my outlet. And I think it really kind of helped me through that more than anything else, that really low point, and it still does. I didn't go to school for art. I'm all self-taught. Graduated high school in 2020, and so it was COVID, and I had no idea what I was doing. Even before COVID happened at all, I wasn't necessarily planning on going to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to go to school and waste a bunch of money. But art was something that always interested me. It's like school was hard. I struggled with my mental health. I struggled with undiagnosed ADHD at the time, which has now been very eye-opening to get diagnosed and be like, oh, well, that meant so many things make more sense. But any creative project throughout elementary school, middle school, high school was always what I was drawn towards and what I really focused all my energy on. My inspiration definitely draws mainly from nature. Going out, going on nature walks, being out in the forest, really anywhere out in nature, I think is where my brain starts to really spark and get inspired. I think also, especially with that, the location and where I am, or I'll go on a trip and it'll be somewhere like Utah. I came back from a trip to Utah and started to see a lot of those colors and textures start to show up in the paintings that I had started working on. A lot of the color palette that I have going on right now, I was in San Diego in April, and I think that that really sparked this like bright ocean, sunny blue skies more than these other pieces that I have that's Seattle ocean. I think also impact of the weather. I can see shift and the colors that I'm using. You see a lot of the grays and blues and dark browns, greens in the majority of my work, I'd say, and I think that a lot of that is really just Pacific Northwest inspired. Lots of gray, kind of stormy looking pieces. And right now, I have a whole different color palette, which is very intimidating to be working with also, because I'm not used to it at all, and it's definitely been fun to play with new colors and work with something new and different and kind of scary. What I both love and hate about watercolor is the unpredictability of it. I think that a lot of the time that's my favorite thing about painting with watercolor is the unexpected and not really knowing where a piece is gonna go and having the layers build. I do like sharing my work. I think that going to festivals, going to art markets is so stressful and overwhelming, but honestly, sometimes having that deadline and having that push to finish pieces. I start a lot of pieces. I start a lot and I work on them and I layer them, and then I start new pieces. And so when it comes closer to these shows, it's like, oh, I need to get these pieces done, and then I start to get super hyper-focused on line work and getting the final details and touches on things. And so I think that sometimes that stress and overwhelm is helpful, and sometimes it is detrimental. The Emerging Artist Program was a really good experience for me, and I think really launched my artwork and my business into a different level, I guess, going and being at a fine art show rather than what I had been doing, which were these smaller markets that, you know, I was selling cards and I was selling some prints and an original here and there, but it wasn't the right crowd that I needed to be in. And doing that program, having the support from Cheryl, my mentor, to get me ready to do that show was really helpful to see that different side of things in a more fine art world rather than being at the craft markets and the smaller shows that I was doing prior to that first spring show with the Northwest Art Alliance. And that show actually, well, it was my best show ever. It was a realization that that's the crowd that I needed to be in. It was like, oh wow, like this, there is potential here. Like this could go to a higher level. I could take this further. And I think that that gave me a lot more confidence in myself after that show.